it is based on the real events that happened to my friend Sena, who is a herdsman in Inner Mongolia. And the year before last year, I saw that he took on a career change. So before he was a herdsman, a horseman, and that year he decided to become a horseback performer at a local horse show doing like horseback tricks. And that was the time when I started to visit him at the horse show to see like what's going on and what the show is about. And there, what was very fascinating to me was that it seemed to me that he had like two different personas, backstage and on stage. So every day on stage, they put on their armors to become this idealistic, ideal Mongolian male, like cavalryman-ish image. And however, backstage at the time, my friend was having financial difficulties, and he was trying to sell off all his flock of sheep. So at the time, I saw this interesting split between his reality and the roles that he performed, and how these two personas kind of is such a split within himself. So at that time, I felt that I saw this vulnerability in him. I really wanted to portray this special time where this transition took place. I know that sometimes when like the external world is changing, each individual can be quite vulnerable, and especially during the shift of a bigger time. For example, the shift from nomadism to industrialism, it is basically irreversible. You cannot say whether it's good or bad, because at the same time it brought a lot of people many job opportunities, it brought economy into the region, but at the same time, people, this generation and even the generation before them will be the people who kind of witness that change themselves and witness a kind of gradual loss of something that's used to be. So yeah, that's like a common kind of feeling that I think this generation is experiencing. When we were shooting all the scenes in a natural setting, in the pastures of the steppes, what was really important for us was to utilize natural light to its fullest. We really wanted to preserve how dusty everything is. Because of global warming and desertification, the land is like, sometimes there's like sandstorms. And during the season when we were shooting it, we actually encountered a couple of small like sandstorms. So I just thought that the dustiness is something that's very essential to the environment and also to the general aesthetics of the film. So it was really important for us to preserve, firstly, the changes in the natural lights, and secondly, the dustiness, how dust affects the reflection of light in the environment. And for the horse show, we were really thinking about making it super dramatic, all the colors, all the lights, to make it as if it's a world that's being dramatized to its fullest, and it's like an ever-going show. You never know where's the beginning of it, where's the end of it, and the show and real life, they just intertwine without like any notice, and you just swiftly enter into one world. And we really wanted to keep that spontaneity. I think especially when you work with non-professional actors, and especially when this non-professional actor is a dear friend of yours, it's very important to be very honest and be very vulnerable at the same time, because he is also offering a very vulnerable side to me and allowing me to capture this onto the camera, and that is something that's very incredible. So I think as a filmmaker, I have to respect that and really not take this for granted. And I think just be honest and be vulnerable with him is the most important thing. I don't have like a very clear idea of the next film yet. I think I want to take as long of a time as I need to, but at the same time, I kind of have a vague idea that I want to shoot a story of a person who is like a explorer or what is the word? Anthropologist that's traveling in a foreign land, and while digging deeper into the local culture and the local community, this protagonist maybe is exploring like the limits of documentary filmmaking and where it becomes ethical and where it doesn't, something like that. But it's still a very big idea, but let's see.